Now, social media played a pivotal role in the hashtag EndSARS protest. In fact, it was birthed on Twitter after a video of police brutality in Delta State went viral. Nigerian youth began sharing their ugly experiences in the hands of officers of the defunct Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS. The youth quickly mobilized themselves and took to the streets in protest against police brutality, demanding, amongst other things, that SARS be scrapped. For weeks, the hashtag EndSARS protest trended worldwide on Twitter, and it turned into a movement. Joining me now is Public Affairs Analyst Adeniyi Kunnu, as well as TVC News Senior Anchor Mike Okoche. Gentlemen, good morning.
Great to be here. Good morning. Great to be here.
Right. We recall last year, this time, we knew the momentum that social media garnered with regards to the hashtag EndSARS protest. You could practically feel the tension, I recall. And we saw how, in fact, during elections, you wouldn't gather such kind of momentum that you see when you talk about the hashtag EndSARS protest. And then we saw how that transpired into various dimension of protests, and then we saw the destructions here and there. And in fact, let's just begin with our experiences. That morning, I was right here at work, and I recall when Mike was talking to us, took us to that building. I felt that feeling of nostalgia. I recall how the security man ran into the studio to tell us they are here.
Live studio.
They are here.
Live studio.
They are here. They are here. And that was how everybody ran. Everything. A lot of people left their belongings, their valuables, laptops, documents. That building was practically a home for a lot of persons. Some people, their items, shoes, because they couldn't go back home with some of these things.
That's true.
And so everything, they left it, and it was gutted. The next thing we saw was the fire.
Well, I think it's the most unfortunate experience one would have, because the media is usually synonymous with the people, especially the grassroots. And I know that TVC actually has 1,001 of its program zoomed in that direction.
Right.
So even with the anger, maybe because a lot of people believe that certain levels of commitment are not seen by certain segments of people or those that they've given, that's why they say when you're angry, be careful, because the anger could overshoot its boundaries.
Right.
So people were right to be angry, but they were wrong to have destroyed. Because in civilized societies, you do not channel your energies towards destruction if you want people to remedy certain things you're not happy about. That building was also home to me, even if I'm not a member of staff here. 1,001 times I've been privileged to be in that beautiful studio. And I have also been guest analyst on 1,001 programs, if I were to bear probably. And I tell you, when I saw the flames, because during the protest, I was back and forth between Lekki and Ikeja. And on that day, I was at Ikeja. I saw that. I had to start calling people here. I hope people are alive. I still have some of the messages I sent. So really, it's a very big blight on what should have actually been properly, carried through, especially the media. We used to think up until that day that, maybe institutions or state institutions don't want the media to function, but it hurts me that the grassroots also came against the media.
And that's one critical aspect that we'll look into much later.
Okay,
but
that's fine.
Mike was also...
I had an experience. And on the 20th,
all right,
I was on the evening shift.
Yes.
And, as a build-up to that day, there was tension all over the place already.
Tension,
with roadblocks here and there. And then coming from home to the office, sometimes I will... Is it right to go to the office today? Well, we have to be in the office. You have to be at work. So on that day, when we closed, because we closed at about past midnight, But we couldn't go home because there was, you hear stories from here and there. This place is a no-go area. You can't go to Ikeja. You can't go to Ikorodu. Hey, you can't go to, and things like that. So so management had to decide, okay, fine. So let's go somewhere, and put up, So we all left. So those of us who had rounded off, duty that night, we had to put up somewhere, not too far, But then in the morning, you were on in the morning. So we were just from where we were watching TV in the morning, and okay, let's just see what's up, just to get updates. And then it was the disruption. Reality is like a reality TV show that that, okay, this is not real, but it's being acted. Something. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Is this for real? Because no one would imagine anything like that. Because the point there is, people were depending on the media to get information.
Absolutely.
So a situation where the media had to become a victim or to become a target at that point, it baffled me. So at that morning when, in fact, you were all on air, and then you had to, they came, and then the chaos started. And then we were watching, and then TVC went blank. Then when TVC went blank, Morayo and the others, because they were also in the studio on their own set, working at all of that, then we saw a live feed on Instagram by Morayo and the others, saying, okay, we are under attack and all of that. It was when people got to know all of those, I was receiving calls from all over the world as to whether, okay, because people knew TVC courtesy of me, that people who knew TVC courtesy of you, the people who knew TVC courtesy of you, things like that. So everybody, they were calling to find out, are you okay, and so on. I remember that morning I got close to 2,000 messages. I couldn't cope with all of them. So we had to stay there. We couldn't move out, and then I was trying to call you that morning. Veronica, are you okay? But then the point there is, we couldn't reach you. I was calling others, the producers who were on the show that day. Can somebody talk to me? But the point is, I could also understand, because I couldn't reach. All of you were trying to, become safe first. Let's be safe first. So I was calling. In fact, I was even calling the director. I was calling members of management. Everybody was calling. People's phones were busy because everybody was trying to call to ensure that everybody was okay. So that day was a day that, when I remember, it takes me back to. I have this chill as to, did this thing really happen? Or what was it? Did we go somewhere to act a movie and then was it reality? But it is reality.
Yes.
And that is what we went through yet. How much more people who their brother or sister or brother or whatever, either suffered casualty or their businesses were burned down as a whole, how would they survive?
Some people are yet to recover.
People are still yet to recover. So it's a very painful experience, not just for a few persons, but for a society. I recall the governor of Lagos State, going from place to place, trying to talk to people. I can also understand the pain that he was in that time too, as the governor of a state, things are happening. So the whole of Nigeria felt that pain. And I feel that it is something that shouldn't be allowed to happen again. If it is either from the side of government, what can government do? I believe we'll talk about all of those. Or what can the people, when it comes to changing the strategy?
Yes, channeling your grievances.
Exactly. Because there are international or best
practices,
best ways of civilized ways of channeling your agitation or grievances, where people can still listen to you. Whatever your grievances are can still be listened to, not destroy. Because the point there is, till now, in fact, you see the building I just went to do a report now. It is there. The whole building is compromised.
Yes.
So the point there is that we're in the makeshift studio right now. That is just that. How about other places, businesses that couldn't come back on? There were some businesses who took loans.
About 700 billion naira said to have been lost.
Recall, our creative department had taken delivery of about 2 billion naira worth
of
equipment just a week before that day. The things were still in their cartons and were not unveiled yet. They were all burnt to ashes.
And then there were cars.
And they were, so it was lost from
now,
left to right.
This is just TVC. We are talking about TVC because this is where
it's just our immediate environment.
This is our immediate
so many other people and businesses and
you can imagine if you had to count the cost of the things that were lost. According to reports, that 700 billion naira were lost, and that is for those that were recorded.
That is just
those that were
conservative
recorded
estimate.
Now we are just trying to play back some of these issues that went on and see how we can move forward. If we want to channel our grievances, make our voices heard. Social media is a platform where people air their minds.
That's true.
But then we can channel it for a better good, if there's a word like that.
Yeah, whatever it is, at times you have poetic license, so that's permitted. One of the things that I believe every situation brings up is a lesson, an experience, and it helps you to be guided. I think that the protest actually, especially from what even the government has said, was hijacked. And if we look at the reasons given by state institutions of security, what they said was they do not want a repetition such that it gets hijacked and that they have some information about people who are never-do-wells and may want to disrupt the process. In acknowledging that the police cannot prevent protests, I heard Mr. Akim Odrumusu said if it's at a place where they could gather, it's permitted, but moving about, procession, that won't be countenance. But I think that for governments, the lesson is that the country has a population, youth, demography, that is over 60%. What is their language? What is their non-verbal cues? What do we take from this? I know that on the side of government, it's a whole lot of losses. If we look at 700 billion, let me say, for instance, Lagos days ago gave in total 410 million naira to 70 families. 14 of the 136 cases that were totally heard were especially associated with the Lagos EndSARS protest. I think that what can be garnered so that this country doesn't go through that route any longer is that governments must look at media organizations as yourself, because I believe we are not old men that perhaps don't understand the language
of the youth.
Of the youth. And we have a level of believability by virtue of the social fabric we've built over time. Government can leverage this platform and individuals that actually have impacted positively to reach out to people. You can organize conferences, symposium. The truth is, the trust fabric between the people and the leadership is actually low. Let's just do that. But this is not blame game, so that we can solve this problem. It therefore means that government can now begin to form symbiotic relationships with those that are non-politicians, as it were, so that they can build a new level of trust and positive countenance and begin to talk to them in the language you understand.
Okay.
So
we have a live feed from the Lekki toll gate. That's it. There we can see some vehicles, just moving. But then we saw earlier police vans, manned at the Lekki toll gate. And we see there's a free flow of traffic. There are no protesters here yet as we speak now. But this is what we are seeing now. We'll definitely get to our colleague who is there to bring us up to speed with events happening around the Lekki toll. These are the policemen who are standing to ensure a free flow of traffic and to perhaps, because there has been statements that the government is not going to allow protests at the Lekki toll gate. And so this is why we are seeing some of the policemen there. But then the youth had said that they were going to have a car procession, and perhaps we'll see that happen much later when they gather. But then we're still seeing The last mile is also there to also ensure free flow of traffic, but the police van is also there to ensure that there are no issues with regards to if people come out and the protest is not hijacked at the end of the day, like we had said earlier. So we'll still get back to our correspondent when he can speak with us, but he's the one giving us this feed just to give us an insight into what is happening at the toll gate as we speak.
Then there's an observation from this, which is that I think that some people have decided to stay at home today because of the unpredictable nature of the roads. That's gates. The history of that gate, especially vehicular movement at this time, that place is always jam-packed. So for traffic to be flowing now, it means people are applying wisdom in their movement today because they just don't want to be caught up.
Absolutely, because of what happened last year.
That's true.
A lot of persons, there's been some level of tension as to they don't know what the mood will be like.
Exactly.
So because of that, some persons, perhaps this one's the people that we are seeing are brave enough to say, okay, let's go into traffic and let's see whatever is going to happen.
Let's just go there and see what happens.
I've even seen, very many commercial transportation, because the one that apply the Lekki route are usually white, not the one that has a yellow flag.
That's
so I'm seeing very few
of them.
So that means it's either there are no passengers to pick, or they've decided, I can't lose this bus. Let me just stay safe.
Yes, a lot of persons are taking that precaution.
That's true.
We'll definitely keep a tab on developments coming from the Lekki toll gate, which has become an epicenter for the hashtag EndSARS. We know that was where the protesters gathered last year.
Now, talking about the issue of social media, the point there is, social media.
Mike, we need to quickly go on the commercial break. We'll definitely come back and continue the conversation. From the Lekki toll gate, and according to reports coming to us now, we hear someone has been arrested. It's said to be a protester, and we see people gathering there too, reporters, everyone. That's the person who is being arrested. He came out to protest, commemorating the hashtag EndSARS protests the 1 year after. The police had come out to say that they were not going to give room for protests at the Lekki toll, but he had come out to protest, and he has just been arrested. We see the police there, putting him into the Lagos State Task Force van. We don't know what will happen after this, but then we'll definitely keep tabs on developments that will come from there. We see security agencies, we see media persons. Another person has also just been arrested and has been taken to the Lagos State Task Force van. It seems a lot of protesters had decided that despite the government saying that they were not going to allow protests, they were going to brave it, whatever it took, to come out to protest in commemoration of the hashtag EndSARS. It seems a lot of more protesters are coming out, and we'll keep tabs with developments coming from there. Security agencies are on the ground and are ready to, arrest any person who comes out to protest. But there is still free flow of traffic there. We'll get to our correspondent as soon as we can for more developments coming out of the Lekki toll gate. Gentlemen, Mike, what do you make of this?
Yeah, but the point there is, from the visuals we're seeing, although it is not very clear the circumstance that's leading to the arrest of these two persons we've seen so far. But that will be made clear as we get along. But sometimes these are some of the things that trigger any other action that goes on. Because the point there is, in the build-up to the EndSARS protest last year, a lot of things were happening before the 20th. But the moment the soldiers arrived at Lekki toll, it changed the narrative.
Everything, yes.
It totally changed the narrative. So sometimes, some things happen, events happen, and then there's a build-up. So we don't know how this is going to be. Maybe this could also be a build-up until maybe the main thing will happen. But we don't expect anything untoward. But I feel still that, or I still feel that there has to be a robust engagement. This is what everyone has been talking about. Now the point there is, Lagos State is trying the best they can as a way of engaging the youth and all of that. The governor has been engaging with the youth, which is good. But the point there is, apart from that, the grievance here is not against Lagos State as a state. It is against the federal government as a government. Yeah. You understand? So the point there is, what is the government doing? Because when everyone is talking about the issue of the disconnect,
absolutely, because that's also one of the conversation that has come up. The response of government to this hashtag EndSARS protest.
The point there is, there can't be the use of force every time. No. In the 21st century, force is no longer the weapon to use as a way of reaching or making people comply. We know that our background, the military experience we've had in Nigeria over the decades, have led to the way that even the way government's attitude or government's position or government perspective to things, we see the elements of some of those things. We have not recovered. We have not gotten out of that. That military thing, the approach to
despite 20 years of democracy.
But the point there is that we have had leaders who have traveled the whole world. We have leaders who know what governance is. We've had leaders who are engaging with other world leaders across the board and all of that. So what does it take to imbibe templates of how to engage? We have Nigerians who are professionals, who are consultants, governments across the world, who are consultant to corporations across the world. How do we bring them on board to Soki?
But there are those who are saying that because there is no particular leader with regards to the protest, how it went, the strategy they took, there was no clear-cut leader driving this. Let's just learn what they were trying to say, that there is no particular leader for whom the government could speak with, and that is why there is this lacuna in terms of communication and having conversation, a continuous conversation that would douse tensions. Okay, you can go ahead.
What I just want to say is, anytime people seek elective positions, they don't go to rally expecting to speak to the leader of those that gather at the rally. They come with their own executives, build a platform, put posters, come on TV for ads, and they go there to talk to whoever gathers. They don't say we need a leader. It's the same scenario. And that's why I say you have to subject some things to critical scientific understanding. These are youths. What are the peculiarities of young people? Energy, exuberance, confusion. They need for direction. They need to be talked to in such a way that they have a sense of self-worth. And these young people said they need the president to speak with them. Leadership takes a whole lot. In fact, leadership means you have to take bullet for people. And one of the things, knowing full well that the police, the army are all under the direct auspices of the federal government, what the president would have done was to don a polo, a jeans, a face cap, and walk with the sneakers to Lekki or anywhere. Give the president the needed protection. My children, I'm very sorry. I'm sorry. I'm an old man. When the president signed the not too young to run bill into an act, after I signed it, there was something he said that even got the people that clamored for it laughing. He said, but you people will wait for me to go for turn. And people laughed. The president would have come to address these young ones in that same spirit, that mood. The truth is, these young ones are not difficult to deal with. They said they want their president to speak with them. A father wouldn't send siblings to speak with aggrieved siblings in a polygamous home. That is what the country is. They will expect the father, when he gets to a certain area, you are the centrifugal essence. So I believe also that these things can be remedied. The president can just say today, okay, I'm sorry, it's a year. It doesn't take the position away. We have to move forward for good.
Absolutely.
Yes,
your final word, Mike.
Yes, the point there is that the social media, like I was talking about earlier, it's a tool, like a two-edged sword, where, if you have a sword, it can be used to kill, but it also can be used to cook, depending on how you use it. So then a lot of fake news and a lot of things that agitate people and a lot of things that are unfounded have been disseminated through the medium of social media, which aggravated all of the things that we see. But if we can use it as a tool for good, for the good of the governance of people, it will go a long way.
All right, we have to leave the conversation here now. Public Affairs Analyst Adeniyi Kunnu and TVC News Senior Anchor Michael Okoche. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Thank you.